2D, yes. Item 2D, full. Okay. I want to pass the rest of the possible any questions on that one. Yes, Ms. Rodriguez.
The board minutes, number 1.
Number 1. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, say none. Got a motion here. Okay, a request from Mr. Rodriguez. Board members, pull 1 and 2D as in do. Can we pull those individually? What?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. I'm sorry, I didn't understand what the pull meant. So I would like to pull for discussion. So you have to pull something in order to discuss it?
No, item under.
Yeah, item 11. Thank you for letting me come up. I appreciate that.
Say your name again?
Oh, Sean Henry.
Okay. Okay, we're going to go and start with number 1. Ms. Rodriguez.
I had a question about the board minutes. Board minutes from the 23rd. It says, I'm trying to figure out exactly, action items. Oh, approval of following contracts in excess of $5,000. Right below that, it says that on a motion of Trustee Barnes, seconded by Trustee Kim, and carried 4-0 to approve contract items A through H and pulled item I to be agendized in August. And item I was not agendized in August, although it appears to me that you voted to have it on this agenda.
Say again.
I had it on the agenda, but it's going to be survey, I guess
It would have been the School Improvement Network, PD 360. You had voted to agendize it, but, yeah. So,
That item still pending is scheduled for the next meeting because we need more background for the PD 360. So the next board meeting is going to be in the agenda.
is that, if I
PD
could
360.
just, maybe this is out of order, but just a question. When you vote to agendize something,
The future.
yeah, but it said in August, so that it can still be pulled and move forward?
We don't have enough information for this month, Carol. September it will be. I hope. I hope we have everything ready.
Thank you for your question. Your items, what?
Yes, 2D. I would like to know, I'm assuming, well, when I look, the majority of these folks here are the VPs or newly appointed vice principals. But why is it headed temporary administrators, Mrs. Willingham?
Thank you. They're hired, their status is temporary. If they already have permanent status with the district, they have permanent status as a certificated employee, as a teacher, not permanent status as an administrator. So that's why they're all listed as temporary.
But some I see here were prior principals, or principal or administrator. Mr.
Right, but
Gonzalez. So how does that work?
They're,
Oh, we didn't put it
status
here. Well,
is-
you should have put that.
If I may, my dad is actually junior, I'm the third, so just.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Larson, maybe I'm misunderstanding your question. An administrator's status basically as an administrator.
No, I understand that,
Oh,
but
okay. It's always
I
temporary.
I was like, well, why?
Yeah,
You answered me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bridges.
It's called teaming up.
Right, I thought he came out of retirement.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you get it? Did you get it?
Yeah, yes, thank you. That's what was my,
Well, thank you very much for teaming up. Okay, next please. Give me your name again, I'm sorry, I forgot to write that.
Sean Henry.
Sean Henry. Mr. Henry, please.
So on this, just a question, with all the different administrators that are hired, why isn't it listed what job title and where they are? I mean, that would give the information, all these new administrators when they come to this meeting to know, who this is and where they are, and it would seem to make sense to list what their job title is and what school they're set up to go to. That's all.
Thank you very much for your question. And we're back to the consent agenda. Oh, number 8, I'm sorry.
Number 11. 11 was pulled.
Was it 11 or 8? 11. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'd like to thank Ms. Barnes for coming out and letting me know where the Title I application was for consolidated application, spring 2014-15, phase 1. I think, in future reference, and looking through notes, it's kind of an important thing about where those resources are. That's over $2 million. Where's the allocation of funds? And with title funds, there's a lot of things that can be done for students. In the current application, it shows, and I apologize, I made some copies. I was going back and forth between the websites, so some of it was the application from this year and last year. But I know that in the current application, in the attachment, which we don't necessarily have in the public here, but I know it's on the website, University Park is showing is actually meeting the district threshold of 75%. And there's actually a notation there saying that because they're getting other funds from other areas, they don't necessarily need to have Title I funds. Title I funds are federal and state funds that can be used for a lot of different functions. So when we're talking about students, I know Monterey Park met the threshold last year to get Title I funds. University Park, there's 435 plus low-income students. That's 75%. So 3 out of 4 of the children that are in the classroom are designated as low-income families that are affected. Their learning is affected. Again, 40% takes only 40% for statewide per school. Laurelwood, 62+%. That's 330 plus students. Again, they have 150 limited English proficient. University Park has 200. Mission Park, 350 plus students. About 1 in 2 are low income. 100 plus limited English proficient. Lincoln is about 40%, 39, 40, depending upon the year. 200 plus students that are affected economically. So when you look at it and you're decreasing, you're not providing any Title I funds to those schools, you're talking about 1,300 kids between University Park, Laurelwood, Mission Park, Lincoln, that are either low income, limited English proficient. They have challenges as well. And actually, if you look up in the state data, Carmel actually has one of their schools getting Title I and only 27% low income. So 40% is for the whole school. I think this is an important thing to basically have discussion and make the public aware of how decisions are made. It's not about taking funds away from others. It's just saying, like Mr. Luz has said in the past, we need to look to improve for all 13 schools. Certainly, certain schools should get more based off of need, but there are needs at University Park. There are needs at Laurelwood. There are needs at Mission Park, and there are needs at Lincoln. So it should be 0 or everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Superintendent?
Let me address the issue. Mr. Henry, yes, you're addressing a very important issue. And then briefly, we can spend 2 hours or more. But let me tell you, briefly. Times have changed in California. With the LCAP, now it's changing everything. We used to be ruled by No Child Left Behind. And I don't know if you're familiar with that legislation, was extremely harsh, No Child Left Behind. So the thing is, the state has a policy saying if you are 40% of low and reduced, you may provide Title I to those sites. What happened in the last 15, 20 years since I'm here, Title I money was, it is in every school district, it's up to the Board of Education to define share. 15 years ago, nobody, absolutely nobody wanted to be Title I. No school wanted to be Title I because Title I came with a lot of requirements, very scary, highly qualified teachers. If you don't perform, the principal is going to be fired and all the teachers are going to be fired. A very scary scenario. So nobody wanted to be Title I. Like 7 years ago, for example, the board had in place 90% feeder reduced received Title I. A couple of years later, the board decided 85% feeder reduced. Later, they said, around 10 or 12 years ago, 75% is going to be receiving Title I. In short, correct me, Jennifer, I don't know if you are the principal or not, Common became 75%. And the staff say, no, absolutely not. We don't want to become Title I. Because as soon as we get the money, we get all the requirements and we become program improvement. And if you don't have federal monies, you can be any level, high or low, but you are not program improvement school ever. And you don't get those sanctions, terrible sanctions from the state. So common school became 75, there is a process. The staff needs to be in agreement, parents need to be in agreement, the administration needs to be in agreement. There is a process, a year process to receive those funds. So when Common voted, we don't want Title I, absolutely not. And that happened for 3 years. At the end of the 3rd year, the staff decided, yes, we're going to take the money and we're going to take all the responsibilities and so on and so forth. So Monterey Park 2 years ago, last year, 2 years ago, Monterey Park became 75% again. And by then, even today, No Child Left Behind sanctions has been fading away, and the district is in a better place. We have all teachers highly qualified, and so on. Have been softened all these rules. So a year ago, Monterey Park voted and said, yes, we want the money. So last year became Title I. So in summary, if and Board of Education, and this is a tour that is open. In summary, it's up to you. If you want to change the percentage, lower it from whatever you want to do. It's right now it's 75. We have doing it for more than 15 years. You want to lower it to 10% or to, I don't know. It's up to the board. But the science is not that scary situation any longer. But yeah. Very valid concern you have.
Thank you very much, Dr. Luzo. Very, very, very helpful. I think that's exactly what a school board is supposed to be doing, and I appreciate you giving a response with that. So that's very insightful to know. Hey, people didn't want the money, and I think it is important that yeah, the politics and the nation's changed, and Salinas has changed a lot over the years, and so. Coming into previous board meetings and really, hearing, the school that I go to, Mission Park, really described as something that it's really not. That it's a great school, but there are kids with needs, and so if what I'm hearing correct is because the state still has the state and the federal still have it, you can be classified as a state school-wide. Because you have such a large number. If you have 40%, it's considered significant where you can provide money and interventions at those schools. So if it's correct now, it's now kind of up to schools. So for instance, you know, with Mr. Larison's school there, Laurelwood, who's not, I think it's 60+%. If they were discussing school-wide, that would be something that they would get support from the school board on, to possibly get Title I funds?
Basically, it's up to the board saying to set a percentage of low income to receive the Title I.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So the state says 40, but the board can make it the threshold higher. They can't make it
Oh,
lower.
absolutely, not the vendor lower, but absolutely, the board put it 90, 70, whatever. And now it's more, the sanctions are not that threatening. So,
Are we finished?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your question.
Just a question on that. So, if a school falls within our 75%, and so the school could go, yes, we would like to be Title I, and then they would present it to us as a board, and then we approve that, or how would that work?
well, the board, if they want to revisit the percentage, for example, 75, to lower the 75, you can do so. And every school who qualify, they need to initiate the process, surveying all the personnel and parents and community and take the rest of it. Yes.
And then come present it?
Yeah, it's a 1-year process to redistribute the amount the following year. Yes, thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
To the question?
Could I do one more question? It actually is pertinent to
No, no,
75%.
not on the agenda. Oh, go ahead.
It's on the same thing. On the allocation for the current schools, it lists that that University Park has hit the 75% threshold, but in the right column, it has a question mark saying that there's funds from other areas, so therefore they're not going to get Title I funds. So did University Park say we don't want the money, or why if now they're meeting the 75% threshold in the current application, is there a limitation saying they're still not going to get Title I funds because they're getting funds from somewhere else?
Let me switch this over for clarification. We're going to have staff to answer the question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Huerta?
Thank you for your concerns, Anita Huerta, and I oversee the Title I funds. So basically, yes, University Park right now it's at 75.33%. So we got the data is from last year's CBEDS. So this year, again, in October, we're going to do the CBEDS again, and that's when we need to closely monitor to see if Monterey Park qualifies with the 75% for University Park, excuse me.
So if they're just a little bit right there, if they get like 74.99, they won't get money?
Go ahead.
Dr. Lisa, do you have, it has to be 75%, I believe. So.
Actually, right now, it's 75%. Again, Monterey Park, for example, 1 year was 74, other one 76. Well, you have to have consistency in the school with that population. We have high mobility, so we cannot go back, make it qualify 1 year, the following year doesn't qualify. We take at least 3 years average, okay, it does qualify because it fluctuates, it tremendously, that percentage. The last 3 Title I schools we have been doing for 3 years in a row. If that's the tendency, then we initiate the process to receive the money. Basically, what the state don't want is that this year you are 70, let's say 75, and next year you are 74. So you stop receiving the money. So it has to be some kind of consistency in 2 or 3 years.
But the state says 40% is fine to get money.
But the board has 75. Yes,
I got it.
it's up to the board.
Okay.
If the board said differently, we will follow whatever the board says.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Barnes?
I think that we need to clarify it even better, and maybe after we take these CBEDS in November, we can bring it back to the board as a study session, so we can explain what percentages and who's capable of doing it or available to do it, et cetera. And then at that time, maybe, Mrs. Huerta, you can explain exactly what, because it is confusing. I agree, I asked the same questions that you're asking, and I think it needs to be clarified.
Be more than glad to table and have a discussion about the distribution of Title I and how the district is going to proceed.
Noted. Okay. Fine. We're going to go back to consent items. since we discussed all of them,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent items,
item number 8,
all of the consent items. We haven't,
is
1 through 12.
through 12. Okay, there's a motion on the floor. I'm asking for
Well,
a
I have a
motion.
question. Have all the items pulled been
Yeah.
satisfied?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Mr. Barnes, Mr. Hoffman, made a second. I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? I didn't hear any. That's 5-0. Good. I want to thank Dr. Lusa and the whole team for being patient with us at the same time. A lot of good questions, at the same time, a lot of good thoughts. Okay. And better relations. What's next? Action items, yes. There's a resolution 2013-2014 called the California 14-41, California strawberry.
This resolution came last month for information, and the Strawberry Foundation made a presentation. So this is an action item basically to acknowledge and value their place in Salinas.
Motion to approve resolution 2013-14-41, California strawberries.
There's a motion on the floor.
Second.
There's a second on the floor. Any discussion? I just want to thank the strawberry people.
This is roll call.
Roll call.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, we have a question. Your question?
I'm sorry. Well, it's
I hear you.
not exactly a question, kind of a comment. Although I can appreciate, I was here for the strawberry presentation, and I appreciate the fact that the strawberry growers and all are adding to our economy. I'm very concerned as a teacher of young students about the effects of their chemicals. And there's been quite a bit of items in the news over the last few months, although this is, as most everyone in this room knows, an ongoing problem. But there's been quite a few articles about the pesticide use close to schools and the effect it has on our children. And of course, as other people have noted today, we have a very large percentage of people that are working in and around the fields. And so although I appreciate the business, I'm bothered by the fact that we would do this resolution when there is such a concern about their use of pesticides close to our schools and around our children.
Anybody else? Board? There's a motion. I'm supporting this motion. And we'll be calling, we need a roll call vote on this. And I agree with Ms. Rodriguez, there is an issue there, but at the same time, this is more informational, my understanding. Informational.
No, it's an action item.
An action, excuse me. And then keep reading the word information.
But I think it's a very well taken your point, because we couldn't agree more for the safety of the kids. We value their presence, their business. We can approve the resolution and send a letter of concern about the chemicals, because we have had at the county levels this kind of conversation, the impact of pesticides around the city. And many growers have come and give the presentation of how they have been changing dramatically what they use in the fields. Some little, some nothing. But yes, it's a very valid concern that we need to have on the table to, okay, tell us what's going on with pesticides and in the strawberry crop.
Yes,
Can I
ma'am.
ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
What exactly does approving this resolution do? Does it give them permission to use our name in advertising, or like, what is the purpose of passing these resolutions?
Just a formal acknowledgement. There's no commitment of any kind. Just a formal acknowledgement. Any action that the district may take needs to come to the board. But this is saying, thank you, yeah, we appreciate you here with business, basically.
Okay. Okay, no more questions from the board? Okay, this is roll call.
Mr. Garcia?
Yes.
Ms. Barnes?
Aye.
Mr. Kim?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Larison?
Yes.
Okay, 5-0. Thank you.
And with the understanding also that we need to be bringing the organization to us and explain to us, give us information later on, and we can do a presentation by then. Work with them. Okay, next item, revised.
Motion to approve revised board policy number 6153 and regulation school-sponsored trips.
Yeah, let me get some background information on this when we go back to you. Is that okay? Dr. Lucia?
I thought we talked about it.
This item was brought to the board quite some time ago. And last time that we revisited for information, do you want to explain? We have 4 options that the board didn't take any action, so. Okay. Beatriz.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. Dr. Lusa, Board of Trustees, fellow administrators, teachers, and parents and community. Yes, what you have before you this evening is a revised board policy 6153 concerning school-sponsored trips. And it's up for action tonight. Some of the language was revised, it referenced out-of-state and international trips. That was revised. But in addition to the language of the policy, you have 4 options that you're considering, 4 funding options you're considering tonight. Option 1, site funds cover all expenditures. Option 2, each year participating sites contribute a funding pool to help defray such costs. Said amount will be determined by an ad hoc committee at the beginning of each school year and will include representation from each participating site. Option 3, each year district will contribute towards a funding pool to help defray such costs. And the language is the same related to the ad hoc committee. Option 4 is a combination of 2 and 3. So that's what you're voting tonight on, approving one of the options for funding field trips.
Thank you. This is for the board. I mean, the only one that makes sense to me is number 3. I mean, that's, I read them all, and that's what I would do.
Any other questions from the board?
I have a couple of
Presentation.
questions and comments too. There are a couple of things that seem to be missing, and then maybe the maker of the motion would include this, but one in particular that I saw is that it doesn't discuss transportation costs. And in the past, the district has always paid the transportation costs, and that's really important that it's added to the motion to make sure that the district will continue to pay the buses for the outdoor science camp. Secondly, the last paragraph of the school-sponsored trips, it says, district funds shall not be used to pay student expenses for our state trips or out of country or overnight field trips or excursions. If we decide to go with one of the options that includes a district, we need to strike the part that says or overnight field trips because it would be contradictory to the motion. So that was the other one. And let's see. I think that's it. But basically, I just want to thank staff for bringing this back to us. It's something that I felt very, very strongly about, that we should not eliminate outdoor, 6th grade outdoor camp, and you did what your due diligence. I like option 4 myself because that combines, that shows that both the district and the schools will put aside some money so that if there are some students that can't go or there's an issue, it's kind of a combination of all of the above. So I would prefer option 4.
Board member questions? Yeah. I have a question over here. Ms. Rodriguez.
I just, a kind of a clarification. Okay, the options refer back to extraordinary costs, for example, mandated assistance. I read this as extraordinary costs and mandated assistance being one-on-one aid or medical, those kinds of things. Is that right? Okay. So this wouldn't be for students who can't pay? This,
It's for extraordinary
This-
costs, whatever it might be.
well, that's, I'm trying to, is that considered an extraordinary cost?
We defer
Yeah,
to-
you're correct in your assessment, Carol. Yes, if they need a special person or a special chaperone, that's the intention. Because if students cannot pay, they have to go anyway. So not child left behind, I guess.
Right.
But these funds that we want to build every year is for that kind of situation, extraordinary circumstances, for if the student needs extra.
But as a follow-up though, when I was hearing Mrs. Barnes say it was for this funding pool would be to help students who couldn't pay to pay for camp. And I just
No,
wanted,
it's not.
And that's not, I'm sorry, I'll clarify that. It's for the extraordinary situations, because it's up to the school to raise the money for all
right,
most
well,
of the children.
you had said students who couldn't pay, so I just wanted to make sure I wasn't, okay.
Extraordinary.
Sir? Another question?
Well, I just want to lobby for option 3, because for most of those extraordinary expenses, those students are coming from all over the district and are placed at certain sites where that's might be the only program available to them. And so it seems most equitable to have the district look at helping with those costs rather than the school site that has the program, which puts a lot heavier burden on those school sites.
That's what I thought, thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the board? No public questions?
Yes, I just want to know, would this take effect this year, or are we talking next year?
No,
This school
this
year?
year.
Okay, thank you.
Tomorrow.
October. That's what I wanted to know.
So, a motion we pass, what is it? Action item 2?
Board policy.
Action item A2 with option number 3.
I'll second that motion if the maker of the motion would please add to strike the first part of the sentence on A, because it says there that they would not pay for the field trips. So that particular those lines, it says or overnight field trips or excursions. And also, we need to add the fact that the district will pay the transportation costs, which is not included in the recommendations.
I withdraw the motion.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve recommendation option 3, to strike the first sentence where it says or overnight field trips or excursions, to add a paragraph, the district add a paragraph to the proposal to district will provide all transportation costs for approved outdoor science camp excursions.
Discussion.
You've got to pick an option 2.
I said 3.
Second.
Okay. There's a motion, a second, discussion. We'll take a roll call. No? All those in favor? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nays, any nays? 5-0.
Option
And I'd like to, if at all possible, just suggest that we get an update on the first field trip to go out and see how they work out.
October 20th, we're supposed to go. Laurelwood.
Supposed to.
Supposed to.
Okay. Next item. Okay. We're into curriculum. to curriculum is the resolution 2014-15-01 preschool. Please.
This is just a resolution that's required from the preschool department every time there's a CDE. Whenever we enter into a contract, the district was awarded state preschool funding of a little over $1 million for this current school year. And we returned the contract, but we also need to send a resolution just formalizing who the signatures are for this school year. And they list Dr. Lusa, Gerald Stratton, and myself, Mike Richard. So it's just a resolution that will go to CDE with the return.
Question? Short?
Could you explain the cost to parents? How does it work? Does this mean that the parents will have preschool for free, or how does it work?
The contract is for what the district will receive in funding for each student when they attend preschool that's enrolled. They would be reimbursed $34.38 per day, up to. And actually, subsequent to this contract, they would never have talked about the family fees, but the governor's budget revise actually struck out the family fees. So you will be actually getting the preschool handbook for your review with that part taken out, so we do not have to assess family fees for the state preschool this year. So we're
For
very
any of the
excited.
schools?
For any of the students participating in state-funded preschools. We do have one fee-based preschool, which is not, it's completely a self-sustained program that relies on the parent fees.
So any school that qualifies will be able to get free funding for the preschool?
No, we have funding for a certain number of students, so we have the current sites that we have preschools at, which are all schools except for Laurelwood, UP, Monterey Park Mission, and University Park. We have explored looking at opening preschools at some of those. It has to do with facilities. For preschool, we would need to open a preschool. We've actually looked at several of them to either at certain times open a fee-based preschool or to expand our state preschool. We need to have a facility that provides 2 access points from each room and separate bathrooms, as well as a designated play area. And so far to date with those schools, we haven't been able to secure that, which would allow us to receive a license. So we're allowed to operate this contract in any of our facilities that are licensed. So we could provide it at any school. Students from the entire district and county are actually eligible based on income. School of residency is not a determiner in state
So it's the
preschool.
facility that causes us not to go forward with the...
With opening additional rooms, yeah, with not providing it for sites we just listed right now, it's been, we haven't been able to secure the appropriate facility that would provide us with that to become licensed.
Why not? Why not?
Why not?
Why we moved in that
Because
direction?
the schools are only so big and they have kinder rooms, and the kinder rooms are generally, the ones with the bathrooms in it are generally designated for the kindergarten. And we've worked with sites and there isn't actually room. I mean, there are rooms at a lot of those sites. They're accommodating the K-6 and in some cases some of our district's other special programs with special education. We don't, but that wouldn't necessarily mean we could serve more students. We would just be able to serve them in different locations. We're capped at the number of students for the funding we were awarded.
So we have to apply for that each year to increase that amount?
Yes, we did. And the application you reviewed some time back and then we were awarded funding. This was just the award from CDE. The application we submitted back in December, I believe. Yeah, December.
Thank you, Ms. Bridget. Okay. Entertaining a motion for resolution 2014-15-01 preschool.
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Barr.
Second.
Second, Mr. Hoffman. Yeah. Any discussion? Hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? None. 5-0 again. Thank you. Next item is personnel, if I may.
It should be a roll.
It's a resolution.
Yes, it's a roll call.
Sorry.
My mistake.
Mr. Garcia?
Rescind that. Yes.
Ms. Barnes?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Larissa?
Yes.
5-0.
I apologize for the mistake I made, okay? Okay, the next one is declaration of need revision. That's,
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm bringing back a revised declaration of need for board approval. We are needing to increase our estimated need for CLAD emergency permits from 3 to 5. And I'm also asking that the board approve an estimated need of 3 multiple subject emergency permits. We have single subject employees who have subbed for us, and in particular in the area of math and science. They hold a single subject. In some cases, they actually they've worked at middle school level, but without a multiple subject credential, they are not appropriately credentialed in our district. So this will allow us to have them work towards the multiple subject credential for this coming school year. So I recommend that you approve these. It will, I think, serve us well to get these employees with that background into our system.
You get a second on, I mean, a motion on this item?
Yeah, I'll move we approve the declaration of need revision.
Second. So move, so second. Any discussion? Do the call for roll. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Seeing none, 5-0. Donation item. What number is this? Okay. This was a personnel informational item.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is our quarterly report on Williams uniform complaints, and I'm glad to report that we had no complaints in regards to textbooks and instructional materials, no complaints on teacher vacancy or misassignment, and no complaints on facilities conditions.
Good. Thank you very much. Good. The next item, number 2 under personnel, we're going to address assistant controller position job description. Would you bring us up to date?
Mr. Scranton's going to handle this one.
Ms. Williams referring to me. Thank you very much, Mr. President, trustees, Dr. Lusa. In front of you, you have the draft job description for the assistant controller job description. This is a realignment of positions within my department based on the complexity and the quantity of work that has evolved. With the advent of the local control funding formula and a lot of compartmentalized funds, we find ourselves ever more complex in what we have to manage and what we have to report and on that on which we're audited. Previously, we had the business benefits secretary to whom we transferred many fiscal functions at the entry level. Unfortunately, what is now required is much more complex than that, and that had to defer to the financial analyst level, a position I have. So instead of filling the business benefits secretary, our intent is to upgrade that to an assistant controller position, which gives us a couple of things. It gives us the technical expertise we need when we hire that person, and it gives us a good career progression from financial analyst through assistant controller to controller and to CBO. I believe it's truly essential. Again, the quantity of work, the complexity of work. There are so many funds on which we are challenged and audited, and if we misstep or forget to dot an I or cross a T, we are at risk of losing significant monies, such as the fresh fruit and vegetable grant that I'll talk about a bit later. So this is for information this evening. Our intent is to come back to the next meeting and have it approved. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to.
Any questions from the board? Board?
Well, I was just going to say, I know I watched Alona work, and she doesn't really have a backup. If something happens to her, we're really in trouble. And I just find it's so complex and so many things that we have to be doing that hopefully this will take some of the pressure off of her and give us a backup that we direly need.
Thank you.
Endorse that statement as well, because we do have to watch out for our employees' health as well on site.
I'm not understanding the fiscal impact. Is that their salary?
The fiscal impact would be the differential or the delta in salary from the now vacant
I thought I was going, you better offer more
No,
than.
no one works that cheaply at that
No,
level.
that's what I, okay.
And that's an approximate based on step that someone would come in at.
Yeah. You have a question? Ms. Rodriguez? Sanchez?
Yes. I realize that the district has more money now, but over the years, the classes have been hurt time and time again, and I think money it's rather new to us again. Should be going straight to the classrooms, to things that benefit directly to students with personnel that are going to be working with students. I understand that business has problems. I argue the point of they've resulted in true overload to the point of even affecting the health of employees. We have teachers that have been teaching 30 kindergartners at a time in a small room. So that is true stress. That's where we need to address and push our funds is into the classrooms. We have some lower class size, but it's still not where it should be yet. And I really think that the district should think before they spend money on positions that are not going to directly affect students at this time.
Another question? I'm sorry.
I wanted clarification. Will this person be handling the health portion of the work?
No. We'll reallocate that,
To
Because,
other
to other,
classified
yes,
employees?
to other classified.
And-
The technical quality and quantity of the work for the assistant controller will be a step below controller level and above the present financial analyst.
So we're not filling the benefit position, which is a classified position, but we're filling a confidential position.
That's correct.
And the work is going to other classified.
There will be some reallocation between confidential and classified.
That's the way I understand it so far. I mean, at the same time, we have to look at the future as well, because we don't want to mountains of work done and then all of a sudden we make mistakes. Okay? Have a motion on the floor?
Information.
Oh, okay. Information. Let's keep wanting to move this thing into action already. Okay. The next item is homeschool special ed teacher job description.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am.
Late this summer, we were notified by MCOE that they would no longer be providing home teaching to our students that are in county programs. And so I bring this job description to you tonight because we want to be able to advertise to our own district staff to work with students in special ed that have very special needs that are actually being homeschooled because of their special needs. So this is the job description that would allow us to advertise for our own employees to do that work.
Would this be kids that are placed on home hospital
Yes, it could be.
or